So Chris Eubank Jr. defeats Conor Benn over 12 rounds by unanimous decision. And I think that was someone was beeping, so just in case that comes up in the audio, Chris Eubank Jr. beats Conor Benn by unanimous decision, 116 to 112 on all three cards. So let's talk about this, but first, this video is the opinion coming from it's early in the morning. This video is a video coming from a complete stranger online. Please be responsible when competing in the markets. So if you placed a bet for Chris Eubank Jr. to outright win the fight and you hedged the play with Conor Benn by stoppage, you generated profit from this outcome. And the reason I was encouraging or, looking at the potential of Chris Eubank Jr. to outright win the fight, hedging the play with Conor Benn by stoppage, is because what we saw unfold in the ring was that Chris Eubank Jr., he was the bigger man. He was the stronger man. And that really told in the fight as the fight progressed. Conor Benn, I predicted he might come out fast like a wrecking ball. And he did, actually to his detriment. But then when I think about it, I don't think there's any other way he could have fought. Because when you're coming up from a lower weight class, you're going to be faster than the guy early doors, the bigger guy early doors. You're probably going to be able to bamboozle the bigger guy early doors because they're not used to fighting a faster guy. But then because you're not used to carrying that weight in a boxing ring, maybe you're used to carrying the extra weight when you're walking around in your day-to-day life. But you're not used to carrying that weight in a boxing ring in a 12-round fight. And so as the fight progresses, the smaller guy, the naturally lighter guy, is going to start to tire as the rounds go on because he's carrying that extra weight. And I feel like that really told in the fight. And I didn't see Conor Benn winning the fight any other way than a stoppage. I hadn't seen anything in Conor Benn's career thus far to suggest that he has the boxing brain, ring IQ and ring generalship to dictate a 12-round points decision over Chris Eubank Jr. unless he was able to score like multiple knockdowns. I just didn't see it. I didn't see it. So for me, I felt that Chris Eubank Jr. was always going to win this fight in the 90-something%, either by stoppage or points. And that's exactly what unfolded. Conor Benn could only win by knockout in my opinion. And actually he did stun Chris Eubank Jr. a few times. But I think that the weight differential really impacted Conor Benn's ability to put a real dent in Chris Eubank Jr. He put more of a dent in Chris Eubank Jr. than I was anticipating, but not to the extent where he was able to really get a knockdown or force a stoppage. Whereas Chris Eubank Jr. was pedestrian but consistent. He was consistent with his jab. And then as the fight wore on, he was able to walk Conor Benn down. He was the less spectacular of the two, but he was the most efficient. And who knows, maybe Chris Eubank Sr. being there could have made a difference to him. For me, Chris Eubank Jr. was depleted. Weight-wise, he was depleted. But he wasn't depleted enough, clearly. I reckon Chris Eubank Jr. would have been about 175 pounds in the ring. Conor Benn, maybe 170. But it definitely told that Conor Benn looked like the fresher guy. Chris Eubank Jr. at times looked his age. I do think he's past his best. But I also think making 160 is a real push for Chris Eubank Jr. moving forward. But ultimately, going back to the main point, if you placed a bet for Chris Eubank Jr. to win the fight, hedging the play with Conor Benn by stoppage, then you would have generated profit from this situation. That's what this channel is about, finding ways to exploit the market and generate profit. So let me know what you think about what I spoke about today. Let me know, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you get a notification when I make a new video. If you appreciate my work and want to leave a donation, there's a link for that in the description. And with that, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one. For mortgage advice tailored towards your individual needs, contact PGB Mortgages today. Let them guide you through your home buying journey. Contact details are in the description.